It has been since August, since the last time we had a new Marvel series on Disney Plus, right?
You're right.
She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. So it started in August and it ended in October. But since then, I mean, Star Wars has dominated Disney Plus, right? We had Andor and the Bad Batch, we had the Mandalorian,
Season
and
3.
yeah, and Star Wars Visions. So now we're back to a new Marvel series, Marvel Secret Invasion. All right, this is our spoiler review of Episode 1, called The Resurrection. I believe I didn't write it down in my notes, but that's what we're here
You
to talk.
did.
But that's what we're here to talk about. All right. So thank you very much for joining us. I am Kerwin. This is Keith. We are Father Son Galaxy. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Let's get into it. All right. Okay. So we're not going to go beat by beat, but we're going to talk about the characters, the major characters in this series, and of course we can't start with anybody else except Nick Fury himself, right? Samuel L. Jackson. So he's a former member of S.H.I.E.L.D. The last time we saw Nick was on a spaceship, right? This was a post-credit scene for
Far From Home.
Yeah, your favorite.
He was on
Spider-Man
vacation.
film. Yeah, on vacation in space, right? So you had a projection of being on the beach.
I would have enjoyed being there.
Yeah,
I wonder why he didn't bring like a bunch of other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents with him.
that's a good question, right? Maria, as far as I know, wasn't on the ship with him. It's just him.
Yeah, but
So-
she still had a Skrull replacement.
Yeah. So apparently, Nick is working with the U.S. government. Fury, we call him Fury. He's working with the U.S. government on a secret assignment, some type of aerospace mission involving the Skrulls. So, and Nick Fury never bothered to tell anybody about it, and that's where he's been all this time. But apparently, there's stuff that was going down on Earth, and he was summoned by Talos,
Yep.
and he had to return. So he's back on Earth now, and he meets up with Talos. The series. So let's go back a little bit and talk about what happened in Captain Marvel. So this is when we were introduced to the Skrulls in the films, right? In Captain Marvel,
Ay.
right? So the Skrulls invaded Earth, right? Carol Danvers, has something in her memory information that the Skrulls needed. So whatever they needed, it was on Earth, located on Earth. So they took a trip to Earth, and they have been on Earth, seems, for a very long time. And in the movie, Fury and Carol Danvers promised Talos and his people that they were going to find them a new planet to live, right? 30 years later, they're still on Earth, no new planet. So what's going on 30 years later? We'll find out. Okay. All right. And then let's talk about Everett Ross. All right. So at the beginning of this episode, we saw Everett Ross.
He's a Skrull.
Yeah. Well, we remember seeing him the last time was in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. You remember he was working in secret with the Wakandans, and he was caught by Valentina and put in custody. But Okoye was able to break him out of custody, and apparently I don't know where he is. Well, I guess he's somewhere
assuming
still.
He's captured.
Yeah.
Because that's what these Skrulls do. They capture the original person, and they take their mind and take their body and lock them up.
Well, that's a very good point. You're right.
We saw a demonstration of that.
That's true.
So they might end up having to save Ross.
Okay. So how did Ross get caught up with the Skrulls? We don't know.
No clue.
That's right. That's what we have to find out. But that's a very good point. You're right, because there was a scene in the episode where
they
find out
sacrificed some random dude.
Well, I don't know if it's a sacrifice. I think the dude is still alive, I guess, or they got him. They have his brain function still going.
Yeah, these people are kind of crazy.
Yeah, for whatever reason. So all you have to do really, this Skrull has to stare at a human body, and then they take the form of that human, and then they place their hands on the human's brain and take their
well,
memory.
not on their brain, just on their forehead.
Their forehead, right? You're right. Their forehead, and they take their memory, everything about that person. They now become that new person, and you
Yep.
can't tell the difference. And then they take the original human, and then they attach them to this machine where it looks like there's still maybe some, um,
Brainwave.
yeah, brain communication going on. So
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure
They
why they're
lock
doing
these
that.
people up.
If they're keeping them alive, that's how they keep them alive. But apparently, you're right. Ross is probably in that same situation. So we'll find out. So Ross was, turns out that he was a Skrull in this episode, and we don't know where the real Everett Ross is. So Talos was introduced in Captain Marvel. Once again, he was the leader of the Skrulls. He was a general. So he and his wife were, again, needed information that was on Earth. So they traveled to Earth, and again, they were promised a new planet. They don't have one. 30 years later, it turns out that Talos' wife, Soren, has passed away. Well, not passed away. She was actually murdered.
Dead.
Yeah, she was murdered by a new leader of the Skrulls, which we'll get
Gravik.
to. Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about Gravik.
I don't know what his deal is.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks too young to even understand what he's fighting for.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
You're on the right track. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. So we're going to set that aside when we get to Gravik. All right. So now, like we said, this is 30 years later. Talos and Soren apparently had a daughter, or have a daughter, named Jaya. Is it Jaya? Gaia? Gaia. Okay. Gaia. All right. It was. Oh, by the way, so let's go back. Everett Ross, Martin Freeman, the actors. Talos is played by Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
He's a familiar character for us Star Wars fans.
Are we blind?
Yes. The man in the white cape. Yes.
The man who walked on water.
Yes, he's
in Star Wars.
Yes, in Star Wars, right. Okay. So Gaia is played by Emilia Clarke. Now, I'm looking on the screen and I'm looking at
another familiar Star Wars character.
Yeah, Emilia Clarke. And I'm looking at the screen.
I feel like most of our main cast is Star Wars characters. We got Mace Windu, we got Director Krennic, and we got Kira.
Yeah, they're interchangeable, isn't it? Is that intentional? I guess maybe
Probably.
They feel, okay, well, this character works very well in this franchise, so maybe we could bring them over into this franchise. I mean, it seems to work, but it does get a little bit confusing that you have these characters playing multiple, actors playing multiple characters in different franchises. It doesn't confuse you, no? So when you're looking at Nick Fury, you're not thinking Mace Windu.
No, because I don't really like Mace Windu.
Okay, all right.
When I look at Samuel L. Jackson, I think Nick Fury before I think Mace Windu.
How about that? That's interesting.
Even though Nick Fury came after.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're two totally different characters, right? So you can't really get the two confused.
The easy part is that one of them has an eye patch and a beard, and the other doesn't.
That's true. That's a good point. Okay. All right. So I'm looking at Emilia Clarke, and I'm saying to myself, Emilia Clarke should be playing Kira. Why are we being toyed? What is Disney doing to us? Why don't they come out with the Kira series?
It's like they put Emilia Clarke in a different show. She should have been in Kira.
Yeah, come on. I mean, it's time. After we went through the comic book series of Crimson Dawn and the Roar of the Bounty Hunters and Hidden Empire, I'm ready for a Kira series.
It's time for her to come back.
Yeah, it's time for her to come back. So I really couldn't get out of my head that Emilia Clarke was playing this brand new character. To me, she's Kira to me. I'm not sure if that's a good thing because, of course, we were just talking about, we want actors to play characters that are different,
But I find it kind of funny that, Gaia usually remains in human form, whereas the other Skrulls are like, boop, 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 they can't decide.
That's a very good point. That was very good because there was a scene, right, when she was picking up one of the gentlemen. I guess he's being let go.
Beto.
Right.
Beto,
right. And she asked him, well, show me your human form. And he shows show me your natural form.
Yeah.
And he shows himself as a Skrull, but she doesn't do the same thing.
I thought that would have been a nice salute.
Yeah.
But she decided to leave him hanging.
Yeah. But, however, if you remember when she took him, drove him to the new location where the Skrulls are living or whatever, she did mention that the ones who are part of the resistance can keep that shell on, and the ones who decide not to be a part of resistance can stay their natural selves and just stay at home.
She also said they get to leave if you join the resistance.
Well, right, you get to leave, but I think, that also comes with you keeping your human form, right? Because, if you're going to go out there in the world, of course you can't go out looking like a Skrull. You have to look like everybody else. So I don't know. But yeah, you picked up on that and I picked up on the same thing. We have not seen her as her natural form. So very interesting. All right, let's see if we have any Q&A. So Alex, Amelia Clark plays morally gray characters often and well, but it's understandable that you saw her as Kira too. Yeah.
You know what? I honestly don't get Gaia. Like, Talos told her in no uncertain terms that her mother was killed by the very people she worked for.
That's true.
And yet she continues to work for them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I get that she went to mark the bags, but couldn't she have just taken the bags and ran?
Well,
wouldn't that have been or burned them or hid the bombs? I don't know. Done something with them that wouldn't make her look suspicious, but would also hide them.
Well, she did say that the bags were marked, but
they were decoys.
That's right. So did she know that they were decoys, or did she set them up, to fail? Her dad and Fury.
Hill.
Right. And then there was a standoff between father and daughter, and Talos is telling Gaia that her mother did die by the hands of Gravik, and she didn't seem to be fazed by it, and she kept going. So, all right. So let's talk about.
Seems a bit cold.
Seems a bit cold, right? So
unnecessarily so.
There's probably more to the story there. SSW Network, hello. Thank you very much for joining us. All right. All right. Very nice. Very nice.
All righty.
Let's talk about Gravik. All right.
Okay.
So now you have a very good point, because we were talking about how he's a new member of the Skrull. He is upset, apparently. He is upset because the Skrulls had not found a home. I don't know about that. That seems kind of a weak excuse.
So for some reason, he's trying to start a war with Russia and the U.S. But
yes,
I'm
but why?
Where's the basing of this? Where are you getting this from?
Yeah, right. And then, as you mentioned, he is very young. So he is the second generation of Skrulls living on Earth.
Exactly.
For the last
so
30.
He wasn't even around when the things that are happening happened.
Good point. Right. So I wonder who his parents are. His parents or his family.
Gravik looks like he's in his mid to late 20s, which is this pause was over 30 years, so he still wouldn't have been alive, and if he was, he would have been an infant or unborn. So,
yeah, I would just like to know more about his backstory.
Because I don't get what he's fighting for and why.
Neither do I.
Because everything he's saying just feels baseless. I get that they're trying to establish him as a good villain, but a good villain needs to have a plot, needs to have a backstory. They need to have some reasoning behind being evil.
I agree.
Because, I get that he's trying to find a home planet for his people, but he doesn't even know what he's fighting for.
Yeah. And if it is about the planet not having a home, that's Fury's doing, right? So you should go.
Exactly. You should go talk to Fury and be like, why don't we have a home yet?
Right.
And then Fury can maybe build you another saber that you can live on until he can find a planet. More importantly, if it's been 30 years and Fury decided to take a vacation, shouldn't he have been searching for that planet?
Yeah. Well, we don't know what Fury's been doing for the last 30 years. But the point is, right, so Gravik...
because Avengers and Winter Soldier and so many other movies. But we don't know what he was doing for the 20 years in between Captain Marvel and the Avengers.
Correct. Right. Oh, and don't forget that he was caught up in the blip. So that's 5 years of
But
his
yeah,
life.
he was blipped,
Yeah. So that's
blipped out of existence.
yeah, that was a part of it. And we'll talk about the blip a little bit later. Now, so back to Gravik. So my thought is, yes, if we maybe had more of a backstory as to who his family is, where he comes from, because it makes sense that most people who are radicalized are radicalized at a very young age.
Mhm.
So I can see that happening to somebody who is his age, but I just need to know more.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like if it was somebody Talos' age
Yeah.
that was fighting for this, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
Because they would have been like a teenager at best when these things happen. So they would have had a bit more of a moral understanding of the events that took place and like why the Skrulls don't have a home. Whereas Gravik, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing here. One of these things is not like the others.
Well, we're going to find out more information, I hope. Because,
Possibly.
Yeah, because we need to know, okay, well, why Russia and the United States? Why is he trying to start a war between those two countries? We don't know.
And if this is 2025, I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
You think Russia's still at war in the MCU?
I don't know. Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, this is only episode 1. There are a lot of questions that are left unanswered, which is fine. So Alex, we will probably see more backstory for Gravik later on. I think the answers will come gradually. I agree with that. So it's only the first episode.
Somebody better answer me.
And then, by the way, Gravik is played by Kingsley Benadir. All right, so he's an up-and-coming actor, very, very talented. Alex, Fury's probably been busy with a lot of other things. I do wonder what Carol's been up to also, and why she hasn't found them a planet either. Very good point. So she also made a promise to the Skrulls to find them a planet, but her name is not mentioned, and no one is coming after her, as far as I know. But maybe I wouldn't be surprised. Now that you brought that up, Alex, we know that the next Marvel movie, right, in the theater is going to be the Marvels, right? So is it possible that we might see Captain Marvel in Secret Invasion? Who knows? Okay, all right. We don't know. Okay, all right. Okay. So, and then the last character. Oh no, we got 2 more to talk about. So Sonya Falsworth. So this is a new character. All right, played by Olivia Colman. She's a British actress. Very, very talented.
I love how they have so many British people in Russia.
Yes, I don't know. Yeah, you could live anywhere in the country if you want.
Yeah, yes. But
what? Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of a stretch.
Yeah. Okay, so Sonya Falsworth. She is MI6. So she is the British intelligence. All right, and she's a counterpart to Nick Fury. So a couple of things that I noticed about Sonya. So the scene before that, right before Fury gets captured, he's having a conversation with Talos and Maria Hill, and Fury says, "I'm going to go out for a walk." They're in Moscow, right? Well, I'm going to go out for a walk.
And Talos is like, "You'd be stupid to go out at this hour."
Yeah, he said, "You're going out at this hour." So, okay, well, that's very interesting. So, and then Fury goes out, and I don't know if
he gets sacked
intentionally, wanted to get captured. I don't think so. I think he was just really caught off guard, and then a bag was thrown over his head, and pushed right into a van, and then the van took off, and now he appears in front of this person named Sonya Falsworth, and then she says, "Okay, large black man in Moscow, either Nick Fury or the ghost of Paul Robeson." Okay, so this is 2 incidents, well, not incidents, but there's something going on here as far as being black in Moscow. Is that something that is not allowed? Like, is a black man not able to walk down the streets of Moscow at night? I don't know. Yeah, but
I don't think I'll be visiting Russia.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is this, I I've never been to Moscow, so I'm looking at people learn
You want
things
to?
from what they see. Well, my point is people learn things from what they see on TV or visually wherever YouTube, and we get the impression that a black man it's dangerous for a black man to walk down the streets of Moscow. Are you going to find somebody like me in Moscow at night? Probably not. I don't know. It was just very interesting. Like, why is this being brought up? So, and I just want to go back and talk about that line that she says, either is, Nick Fury or Paul Robeson. If you don't know who Paul Robeson is, he was an American, African American, very talented. He was a writer, an actor, a singer. Um, he was an athlete. So he was a well-rounded, had a successful career in performing arts and show business. He did have more success overseas, and he lived in London for a few years. But apparently, I don't know the whole story, but according to what's out there, is that Paul Robeson, and this was back in the around World War II,
40s.
late 1930s and 40s, that he may have had some ties with communism. Okay, all right. So then so that would mean okay. So the Soviet Union, communism. So that was the reason why Sonya brought up Paul Robeson, which we know, it's not Paul Robeson, but she could have brought up any other name. But I just thought that was interesting that she wanted to compare Nick Fury to Robeson. All right. So anyway, I don't know if that's a setup for something else and a payoff later, but I just
Paul
want
Robeson
to
going to show up as a ghost?
I hope not. Okay. All right. So they're working together, and she wants the same thing that Nick does, and
But in a little bit more of a shady way.
yeah, she's she wants these Skrulls gone. So it doesn't matter the casualties. Sounds like it. She just wants them wiped out because they're going after trying to take out human beings. I don't even know. Again, talking about Gravik's motivation, we don't know why, but we'll find out. All right, Maria Hill. All right, Maria Hill. I don't know how many movies, and I don't know if you counted how many movies we have seen Maria in, but she and Fury are like, peanut butter and jelly. They're together. Every time you see Nick, you see Maria. They're partners, and they work for Shield. It's interesting that we've seen Maria so many times in different films, but we know very little about her. And I don't know if that's intentional or, it's one reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's unfortunate as to, we did say there was a spoiler review. What happened to Maria at the end of the episode? Like, is she really gone? Like, are we not going to know any more about Maria?
She's dead. I can confirm.
You can
Firstly,
confirm it?
if you check the wiki, they put a cross next to her name. That means she's dead.
Yeah, but is anybody really gone in Marvel? We've had people come back. There are multiverses, so I don't want to talk about multiverses anymore.
Name two people who died and came back.
In Marvel?
Yep.
I can't think of any offhand.
Exactly.
But that's not to say that it can't happen. Now you put me on the spot. Now I'm sure there had to be somebody.
She's been in 6 movies and 2 TV shows,
and then came back to life. Well, we thought was dead and survived.
Deadpool.
I don't know. Maybe
he don't even count because he's invincible.
No. Okay. Well, anyway, so
Fury, I guess.
So I want to talk about
Loki.
I want to talk about Maria and her relationship with Nick. When Nick returned from wherever he was in space, from the Saber ship, she apparently, she and Nick were not talking about the time he was away. She didn't know when he was coming back, why he left in the first place. He really kept that close to the vest. Outside of saying, well, maybe he just needed some time away. But now that he's back, she feels that Fury has lost a step or two. Like he's just not in it, or he's not sharp as he used to be. I mean, we saw him at the beginning. He looks older. He's limping. He's got this beard. He lost the patch. I don't even know what happened to the patch, but he just doesn't seem like the spry Nick Fury that we know.
Yeah, he lost an eye.
Yeah, and she's very concerned about Fury. And she had a great line. And then, after mentioning, that he's not ready for this new threat, she says to him, "You always told me that there's no shame walking away when your steps are uncertain. So check your footing. Otherwise, someone's going to get hurt." Which is, wow, a precursor, right?
Pretty much exactly what happened. Foreshadowing.
Yeah, that's very sad to hear. And it's actually when someone got hurt, it was her, apparently. So what happened was Gravik, again, we talked about how
what a good man.
How the Skrulls take over human form.
That was sarcasm.
Now, if you notice a difference here, he never came in contact with Fury, as far as I know. But he did get a good look at Fury, so he's able to take in his human form. And then he appeared as Nick Fury. So when Fury calls over Maria, and she's thinking that's the real Fury, and she said, "Hey, Maria, come over here," and then pow, he takes her out. And then
came over to Hill, so.
And then Fury, the real Fury, came over to Hill, and it was too late. And she was confused, didn't know if it was him that actually shot her or was it somebody else. But apparently she's gone. I mean, it's just unfortunate that you've had this character you had this actor play this character for so many years. You had plenty of time to get a backstory from her so that we can just understand. Just kind of
Fury's right-hand woman.
Maybe have more of an emotional attachment to her, to this character, and we never had that, and now she's gone. I mean,
I kind of feel like that was a missed opportunity. She was literally just in Moon Girl.
Yes, yeah, exactly right.
Bruh.
She voiced her Maria in Moon Girl, Kobe Smulders, right? All right, so
whose idea was that?
I don't know, but
who made that call? Because I get that it's supposed to be an emotional reckoning for Fury, but I'm not that affected. I'm just mad.
Yeah, I just wish it wasn't Maria. But
if it had for anyone,
or if it had to be Maria, that we had
an emotional attachment.
Yes,
I had no attachment whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, it was a sad thing because we know this character, but we just don't know much about
since 2012.
Yeah,
11 years.
So Alice,
thank you, Marvel.
Again, this is the reason why I'm thinking that maybe she's not dead. All right, okay, it's. Chances are
usually when people are sitting here like this and the camera pans out, they're kind of dead.
Okay, all right, no problem. And she didn't turn into a Skrull, so we know she's not a Skrull. That was actually
that would have been a nice plot twist.
That was a real Maria. So Alex, not 100% certain if she's dead, but I can see the possibility of her backstory explored with flashbacks. That is, there's always flashbacks. Heavy spoilers said that Kobe Smulders said her backstory would be explored. That's interesting.
Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
I feel like killing the character off and then doing backstory through flashbacks is kind of half-hearted, because if you were going to go in-depth with the character, you should have kept them alive. Or if you really wanted them to die, give us some backstory first and then do a sacrifice so we kind of have an emotional bonding.
I agree with that.
Whereas this was kind of sudden. Yeah. Like, she had a few lines and then pew!
Right. Yeah. And you're right. And a backstory, I mean, although a backstory helps, but it's more about, oh man, who she, now that we know about who she is, she's gone. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, it's nice to just know as she, this character is growing and learning and, becoming more involved, and we're becoming more involved with her and her story and her characterization, her point of view, her opinions, what is she after? If what she's after, we want her to get whatever it is that she wants for herself. All that is now gone, and the backstory is not going to resolve that. It's just going to be, a life lost. Oh wow, she was a mother. I had no idea.
What?
Now I'm just saying. I'm just as an example. Maria Hill was a mom. Oh, now she leaves a young child behind that we had no idea she had. And it's nothing you can do about it.
I mean. This one was kind of surprising.
Sure, yeah.
And I love how Fury just looked at her and then walked off. But he just kind of looked down like...
Well, no, he walked off because he was in grief. I mean, you hear him not crying, but like he was.
He's like,
Yeah, I mean, he was in grief. Like
yeah,
he was
I know,
in pain.
he just
emotional pain.
Walked off.
Well, I'm sure he probably walked off because he just couldn't see her that way, or maybe he walked off to try to get her
or
help.
You could have, called for help. Like if he ran, I would have been like, okay, he's probably getting help. But the slower the pace you take, the longer they have to die.
I got you.
That's
yeah. I
that's
think
basic time.
No, I hear what you're saying. Right. Maybe he had time to save her, but it looks like she was gone. Already gone. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we spend enough time talking about Maria. More about her death than her life. Which again,
we talked about her more than we talked about Nick Fury.
Yeah, and and we never talked about Maria in this extended time in her previous films. This is the most we've ever talked about Maria.
Now wait a minute.
Am I missing something?
Thinking.
Yes.
If Maria wasn't on Saber and she was on Earth,
apparently
she might have been assigned to some other planet and just never came back. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they explored this thing called like a chronicom, which basically is a robotic, lifelike version of the person you're emulating. They did that for Phil Coulson to bring him back. So I'm thinking, what if that's what they did for Maria Hill?
Interesting. Okay.
Like if she's off on some other assignment and the thing we saw was just a robot.
Well, wouldn't Nick know that? Fury would not know.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
I mean, you know how Fury's been missing some beats lately?
Yeah, true, right?
Like, I feel like this might have slipped by him, and Hill probably wouldn't have told him anyway.
Very interesting. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll figure this out. Maybe she'll come back. Alex, could she have been a body double? I've heard a theory about that in some comment sections.
I just said that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yours was a little more elaborate, not just a body double.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. A body double. I don't know. It's very interesting, that we're talking so much about Maria. And, we're missing her. We don't know much about her, but we just know that
that don't sit right in my soul.
This was a good idea to knock, to take this character out in the first episode, after all these years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, maybe we could have waited a little.
I got no answer. I don't know. Let me know what you think. If anybody has an idea what they think.
Chronicoms are actually S.H.I.E.L.D. technology.
Yeah, well, so
they would have access to that stuff. And considering it's like 2025, they would have that kind of stuff. They would have the life model decoy technology to make their Chronicoms again. And they use them.
We need to look into that. I mean, it seems like you know a lot more than I do about it, but yeah, I think we need to look into that. That could be an option.
Of course, there were side effects. Like when the Phil Coulson version found out he was a robot, he stopped being a robot, if you know what I mean. So
we gotta look into that. That's very.
We gotta watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
Oh, okay. So is that when it happened, or wasn't it Captain Marvel? Wasn't he a Skrull in Captain? It was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if he was a Skrull. That movie made no sense to me.
See, I wasn't going there with Captain Marvel.
Once we get off the stream, I'm gonna watch One Piece, something that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think we should, look into your theory. I think that sounds very interesting. This technology that's out there, that's possible. Mr. Jeff, hello, Jeff. I love that theory.
LMD, life model decoy.
Yes. All right. I love that theory.
Somebody who gets Marvel like me.
There you go. All right. And that's how it ends. And that's just episode 1.
Yeah, I'm like, we laid out an entire plot here.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions that we need answered.
I think we need a better villain, though. Like, if they could just give Gravik some backstory to him and some meaning to his character.
He doesn't seem very intimidating. He's not.
Yeah, I just look at this man and I think Ice Cream Man.
I think maybe his demeanor. I think he's too calm. Like he's not.
Yeah, like this guy, he just
doesn't-
walks into a room.
He's not scary.
Like with
looking
Darth
or
Vader,
yeah,
he doesn't have to say a word to you when he walks in the room.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is walk in and breathe air, and
Yeah.
you're already afraid of him because he's got that menacing aura.
he's intimidating. Yeah.
But when the ice cream man walks across the screen,
I mean, he's just very neatly dressed.
yeah, he looks very prim and proper, like
Yes.
this British sideshow.
Yes.
You know, he's walking around just with his hands folded,
Yeah.
kind of like, you
He's
know,
very, very calm.
very chill
Very
in a
chill.
way that doesn't make him creepy.
Yeah.
Like, there's villains that can be chill and be even more creepy than they already were. And then there's villains where that just doesn't work for them. And I feel like Gravik could use some emotion.
Yeah. I think.
Like, you know, add a bit more explosive fluid to his character.
I agree. Absolutely agree. And his character of all the characters, new characters, I think needs to be beefed up a little bit more. We need
And
to.
the crazy thing is, we don't even really see him leading. We see Gaia leading more than we see Gravik.
Right. And she's not really doing much herself either. So,
exactly. That's saying
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, it's something's going on with these villains. I think there needs to be.
Yeah, I think Marvel villains have kind
more
of
depth.
taken a change lately.
Yeah, this.
Not badly, but like.
Yeah, Marvel has had problems in the past with creating effective villains. You know,
Like, I feel like Gore, he wasn't bad, but Christian Bale just kind of got he got thrown into the cast, and he didn't have that fulfilling of a role, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, so I'm hoping these
Or
villains.
like Kang in Quantumania, how he just got comically shredded. Like,
True.
I get that they're using
Yeah.
that as a segue to bring in every Skrull in the universe, Kang in the
Kang, yeah.
universe,
Mhm.
which made no sense.
Well, yeah.
Because I'm like, why is there an international council of Skrulls? Dang it, why do I keep saying Skrulls? An international council of Kangs.
Yes. Right. We'll see what happens with that. So as we close, let us know if you have any final Q&A. Let's bring it up. So Mr. Jeff says, I think Gravik will be revealed to be Fury's son. He had with a Skrull woman. Interesting.
Who?
Wow. Okay. Mr. Jeff, I can see that happening. I think that's why he came back.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think he knows Skrulls like that. I don't think he knows them like that. I don't think he cares that much either.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, Fury has a deep connection with the Skrulls. I mean, if you see his relationship with Talos.
Wait a minute.
You know what I mean? Like these two gentlemen, they seem to have a close bond. When they first meet after all these years, how they, butt heads, they touch heads.
Give me an age estimate on Gravik.
I would say he's in his late 20s. And
so that would mean Fury had a kid in like
around 30 years ago, like around the time when he promised
1992 or 1989. I don't know.
Yeah, well, if you just think about the timeline,
yeah, I'd say like 1980, 1985.
Well, 95. But if you look at the timeline, according to the timeline
here, I want him to be older so I can have this fit with my theory.
You want
but like
Gravik to be older?
Yeah, because Kingsley Benadir is like 37 in real life.
Is he 37? Wow, I didn't know he was.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I thought
he looks much younger.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if I can fit it into my theory, but my point would be like it has to be after he met the Skrulls and promised to find them a planet, but like
Agree. I mean, anything is possible. Like I was saying, Nick has this deep connection with the Skrulls, right? Especially with Talos. So who knows?
Oh my God!
And he's been away. Well, I mean, he wasn't on Earth, so I don't know exactly when.
This child would have been 70.
Yes, well, that's if you're comparing Samuel L. Jackson's age to his character, they may not be the same age.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Nick Fury. So he had to be around 25 to 30 in Captain Marvel, and then 30 years later was Avengers. So then you figure about 10 years after Avengers would be Secret Invasion. So that means he's around 70, which is
around the same age as Samuel L. Jackson. So that could check out.
I thought Samuel L. Jackson was 60.
No, he's in his. He looks good for his age as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. That Capital One money. Capital
I
One.
can't with you.
Yes. So Fury has some sort of connection. Mr. Jeff. I'm sorry. Did I call him Golf?
No,
I feel
you
like
called him Jeff.
Oh, Mr. Jeff. Okay, Mr. Jeff. Fury has some sort of connection with Gravik. They mentioned that he knew him before. Huh. I didn't pick up on that. Anything is possible.
Okay, well, I find it to be kind of a plot hole that Fury would have a kid.
Yeah,
that would have Tweedle Beetle Paddle Puddle Muddle this story even more.
Not really.
Because that would mean he's half bred.
True.
Which would mean he's half Skrull, which further diminishes the point that he's fighting for of getting his Skrulls a home if he is technically half human and would be able to fit into the human world.
I hear your point.
I don't know.
I hear your point. That's a very good point. I don't know.
Because that just kind of debases his point even more. It really cuts the legs out from him.
They would have to give us a very good explanation as to when this took place, with whom.
And even if Gravik was raised by his mother,
right?
Like that still wouldn't explain it, because he would be able to fit into the human world. Like if he was a side character and somebody else was the leader, and he was grappling with being human and being a Skrull at the same time, that would have been like a great story. But I don't know. And even if he does lead, even if he's more Skrull leaning, like. That still doesn't make sense because he already has a home planet.
And he's been on Earth for 30 years, so you think he would have adapted to being.
Yeah, you think he would have figured it out. He might even not know that he was Skrull in the first place if he was born on Earth to a human dad, and maybe the mom went. I don't know. Maybe the mom was around. Maybe she wasn't. I don't know. We never saw Nick Fury with anybody except his SHIELD peeps like Coulson and Hill.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Alex says maybe Gravik identifies more with the Skrull side. Could be.
Or maybe he's just a fool. Maybe he's just entirely Skrull, like both his parents were Skrull.
It still doesn't explain to me why he has this revenge against Fury, especially if Fury's his dad, or maybe he doesn't know.
Exactly. Like, if this is some sort of Ben Solo type beat, I feel like it doesn't make sense because we haven't established anything. And first of all, he went for Fury's right hand. Like, he went for Hill. He didn't go for Fury to hurt him. He went to hurt him mentally on a level he wasn't prepared for. So, like,
that's usually how it works.
That's right? You very
go after
personal.
The people you love or the people who are close to you.
I find that very personal. Like, you wouldn't do something like that unless you truly know the person you're trying to hurt.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like Gravik would be related to Fury because, like, plot.
Yeah. Well, again, look, it's got more questions than answers, so that's why we're getting ready. We can't wait for episode 2.
And then again, Nick Fury has plot armor. Like, he has plus 200 plot armor. In The Winter Soldier, he survived having his car flipped, having his windows bashed in, and nearly being crushed in his own car, then ended up in a hospital and still managed to survive. He got blipped. He got beat up by a cat.
He's been through a lot. Alex says, well, Batman didn't know he had a kid, and that was a point of resentment for his kid. I wouldn't be surprised if something similar with Gravik, and Gravik probably spied on his Fury.
Yeah, but I feel like that just doesn't fit, because then again, that means Gravik would have been raised more in the human world than he would have been in the Skrull world, which then means that in that sense, it shouldn't have been that he was fighting for the Skrulls. He should have been fighting alongside Nick Fury or just staying neutral in general, because he's not even fully Skrull. So he's fighting for people who he only is half tied to.
Yeah, we don't know.
But he's also half tied to the humans. I'm just trying to figure out, because the place where he was raised and the people with which he was raised is kind of the deciding factor here. Because if he was raised by humans, he'd be more human leading. But if he was raised by his Skrull parents, he'd be more Skrull leading.
Yeah, we don't. Again, it comes down to
catch-22.
It comes down to
they're both plot holes.
Gravik needing to be a stronger villain. We need to know more about him, which again, it's only one episode. We'll find out maybe in episode 2 as we go along. There's only 6 episodes, I think, in the series. So
so Gravik just kind of needs a bit more backstory.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So as we got the final Q&A coming in, we have some announcements to make. Go ahead.
This past week, we did our review of the last part of the Indiana Jones series. As of now, Dial of Destiny is coming out on the 30th. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, as well as our Flash spoiler review.
Yep.
Our spoiler reviews of all the other indie films are available wherever you get your podcasts and also on a playlist on our channel. We're also going to be interviewing Clayton Sandell from Star Wars Timelines. We'll be releasing that soon. And Podathon 2023 will be September 9th, 2023 of this year.
Yes.
And we will be there. We're already trying to pick out guests for Podathon. So we're going to get there.
Okay. Can I stop and just talk about these last 2 that you're talking about? So Clayton
Sandell,
Clayton Sandell is one of the authors of Star Wars Timeline. So it's a history of all of Star Wars from the beginning of the Jedi, the forming of the Jedi, to the end of the Rise of Skywalker. So
his section was Age of the Rebellion, from the Battle of Yavin all the way to the Battle of Jakku.
Yes.
So check that out and buy the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get your books from.
Right. So that interview will be coming up sometime this week. We'll keep you posted on that. And then Podathon. Yes. So Podathon, we were invited to Podathon last year to raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. All right. And we did all of us, really did a really good job of earning more money than we ever earned since Podathon has started. We earned over $16,000 from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So we're hoping to actually exceed that. So we're going to be back. More information to come, but it is scheduled for September 9th, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to that. Okay. All right. And then you want me to go through the rest of the episode?
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
So we are also going to be talking about one of the new podcasts that'll be launching soon, The Redemption of Jar Jar Binks. The podcast, hosted by Dylan Marin, will revisit one of the most divisive characters on the big screen. The 6-episode series will discuss toxicity in the fandom, race, and what we've learned from this controversy more than 20 years later.
Right. So this is, it's not our podcast, but it's a podcast.
This is a podcast that is a division of TED.
Yes.
So check that out, June 28th, wherever you get your podcasts.
Right. It sounds very interesting. So we are looking forward to that dropping this week. All right. And then
we are also on Star Wars, interviewed by none other than the legendary Clayton Sandell. You can check that out on the Star Wars Fan Spotlight page. And thank you to Clayton Sandell for writing the article and Kristen Baver for arranging the interview.
Yes. Yeah, we were very touched that they reached out to us and they were interested in doing a story about our podcast and our family. It was a well-done article. Clayton hit it out of the park. So if you have not read it, it is on StarWars.com. We can also put the link to the article in our YouTube video, under our YouTube video. But check it out. It's a great honor to be a part of Star Wars. StarWars.com.
Race to 1,000.
Yes.
We are less than 50 subscribers away. Please subscribe.
Yeah.
Grab all your friends' devices. Just nab all the devices you have in your house. Get on all your accounts. Subscribe to our channel. Make sure to smash that like button.
That's right.
And we'll see you next time.
That's right. All right. Tell all your friends, family, neighbors, teachers.
Hulk, smash that like button.
Your pastor, just anybody who is not a subscriber. We need those subscribers. All right. Because 1,000 is a very important number.
Hulk, smash that like button and repulsor blast that subscribe.
All right. Thank you. So, all right. We're getting close. We're going to get there. Race to 1,000. And I think that is it.
Throw your Captain America shield at the notifications bell so you can be notified whenever we have a new episode or whenever we're live.
Exactly. All right. And anything else you want to say regarding where they can find us?
I'm trying to think of a Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow pun, but I'm kind of out of buttons to hit.
Okay,
so
not a problem.
throw me on there at the comments button.
Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Use your arrow to click the links in our description. I got nothing for Black Widow. We're done here.
Okay, all right, very
I'm done
good.
with the Avengers puns.
You'll be able to find us. All right, so thank you so much. This is a very interesting. This is a very interesting episode. So I'm so glad that we discussed it. This again. That I think we're becoming invested in this series, so we'll see what happens next. Right?
I talked about this show, and now I'm like, give me episode 2. Yeah. Give me episode 2.
That's right. Yeah. Alex said I smashed the like button, but broke my phone. Oh boy, thank you, Alex. Congrats on your Star Wars interview. That's so cool. Thank you so much, Mr. Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a great honor. So
thank you very much.
Yeah. That's wonderful. So thank you once again for those who are on the live stream, and thank you for those who will be listening to us or watching us. We really appreciate it. We love what we do. So we will be back next week. So until next time, take care,
and we will see you again.